Hello everybody, welcome to another Facebook Live with Jeannie. I am Jeannie Nielsen, the Card Lady, and I'm very excited to be here with you today. That seems to be my catch line. I don't know if that's something that I practiced originally and then it just kind of stuck. But anyway, I'm very excited to be here with you today. I have another fun fold card for you. Not exactly a fancy fold, just a fun fold. And what I did want to say, hi everybody, so glad to see you. I will definitely respond to all your comments at the end, but as I say, I can't do two things at the same time. So as I go along, once I flip down, I won't see your comments. That doesn't mean I don't want them. I want to hear your comments, please. And like my video, share my video, but make sure that you leave comments and then I will get back to them later. Promise. Anyway, I have another card using the Kite Design stamp set. I said last week that it was going to be my product of the week, and what I wanted to do, hi Judy, good to see you. Judy's my sister demonstrator in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I thought she was going to be at a fellow guidance counselors event this afternoon, so I'm excited to see her. Anyway, today I want to share one more fun fold card with you. This is called the FAUX Center Step Card. Faux meaning, if you've ever seen one of those step card tutorials, I tried to do it today. I didn't get enough sleep to do it today, so I'm sure you can't follow me either. So what I'm going to do is show you this card, and this is essentially what it looks like. It's just a step card, and all I did was score in two places, and now that I think about it, I didn't bring my scoreboard with me, so I've got to get that in 1 second. But anyway, this is using the Kite Design stamp set again, and I said if you place an order with my host code for at least $35, I'm going to send you the card kit and the tutorial for these 4 cards. Originally, I was just going to send you the tutorial. I'm going to send you the card kit too if you place at least a $35 order. Okay, so let's get to this. I have one more card that I haven't shown you. You'll have to wait and see for that one by placing your order. Okay, so what I want to do today is flip down in 1 second so you can see all this. I am definitely going to respond to everybody's comments later. I'm so excited to see all of you here today. This is going to be fun. Let's hope. Anyway, I've got all of my measurements here. I've got all of my supplies except for my scoreboard. So I'm going to flip down, and I see it right there across the room. And so I'm going to go get that. So here we go. While I'm down, you might as well check out my May host code so that you can place the order. Okay, I'm all set. Now, in case you didn't see this, I'm going to put it right here. Let's go down a little bit lower so you can see it. This is my FAUX Center Step Card, and it's really super easy to do. All you have to have is the measurements. This is the horizon paper that's retiring. I'm very, very sad about that. And I used another pattern with this next one. I used the new Starry Sky. I'm thinking that if you were going to write a message to somebody, you'd probably cut out a square. How big is this? It's 4 1/4 inches wide. So probably 4 inches by, let's see, it's 3 1/4. So 3 by 4 inches of basic white cardstock. Put that on the back, write your message, and then this is ready to go. You'll see that I didn't quite center that. I don't think you have to center this, even though I called it a center step card, because that's where I found the tutorial for it. It could be a side step card. I could move it more to the left or the right, depending on the designer paper or what I wanted to showcase here. So this, remember these last 2 cards, these are 2 of the other cards that you'll get the card kit and the tutorial for. Isn't that so fun? I just love this. This is my favorite because it's Memorial Day on Monday. So that was last week's Facebook Live. And if you're on my mailing list, you get the recipe card for that every week on Tuesdays. Okay, so let's get to this one. It's really not a difficult card at all. I'm going to set this right here so that I can see it for my inspiration. This here is the Kite Design stamp set. It's on page 31 of the mini catalog, and I am 99% sure it's retiring. So that means that you will want to get it sooner rather than later, especially if you're going to make these cards. And while you're at it, get the flowering rain boots on the other side, because boy, is that a beautiful stamp set with matching dies as well. Okay, let's move this out of the way. And what I have here is, first of all, a card base. This card base is 4 1/4 by 9 inches. Now I have to tell you, I have not quite figured out, you can do this out of one piece of paper, but you're not going to get more than one card out of one full sheet of cardstock. 4 1/4 inches by 9 inches. That leaves you 2 inches at the end. And what you need for the center panel, unfortunately, is 2.5 inches. So it's not quite going to work that you could get it out of a whole sheet of paper, get more than one out of there. Okay, so what we are going to do is bring up our score board. I love my scoring tool, I really do. It's my favorite tool. I used to have a Score Pal. I still do. I don't know where it is, because I thought that the Score Pal was the cat's meow. And let me tell you, I love my scoreboard. Has 1/8 inch markings. You'll see here, just as a little tip, if you ever need this, I took a Sharpie and went down the 6-inch line, so that if you ever have to match up point to point, you are going to remember, you're going to be able to see where to go. Because, you know, if you're doing a marking at the 4-inch, for instance, and then you have to go down and do it at the 4-inch down further on, like you would if you were going to do the traditional center step card, it's really hard to do without these permanent marker lines. Not impossible, but very difficult. So I have a 4 1/4 inch by 9 inch piece of cardstock. This is Garden Green, because I'm going to use this pattern. Make sure I'm in the spotlight here that you can see it. I'm going to use this pattern from the Horizon paper next. With the 9 inch piece at the top, I am going to score it at 1 1/4, 2.5 inches, and then finally at 5 3/4 inches. That's all that I need for that. And what I'm going to do, if I really wanted to worry about mountain and valley folds, what I would do is, this would be a mountain fold. I flip it over at the 2.5 inch and do it as a valley fold. And then I'd flip it over again at 5 3/4 and do another mountain fold. And I say mountain because, remember, the bump is in the middle, which means that when I'm folding this, that bump is on the inside. And I'm going to use my bone folder to burnish that score line. Bump is on the inside, bump is on the inside, and there we go. That's our first card base. Look at how easy that is, right? I'm not going to put this away because I need to do one more set of score lines, and it's actually just one score line. This piece is 2.5 inches by 8.5 inches. And what I'm going to do is score it at 5.5. I like using, there's 2 sides to this, and if you all have the take your pick tool, there's also one on that one. With the take your pick tool, it has the stylus that you can use. I like using the bigger one. I find that my fold turns out a little, my score line turns out a little bit more burnished than it does with the fine one. Fine one, especially if you're using designer paper, you have to be really careful that you don't rip the paper by pressing too hard. Okay, I am done with my scoreboard. I think it's called a Simply Scored Scoring Tool, if anybody needs the official name. Love my board. Okay, so I've burnished that. Remember, bump in the middle. And then what I'm going to do is add some designer paper to this. I've already cut the designer paper because I don't want to bore you with the details, but I'm going to tell you what the measurements are. So this is going to be my center panel. This is 2.5 inches wide. So what I would want is here a piece of designer paper that's 1/4 inch shorter, less wide, narrower. That's the word. 2 1/4 inches. And because this is 5.5, my piece of designer paper is 5 1/4. So let me get my green glue. I've got my green Tombow glue that I love. Now, I could use this side, but I already did that on this one. So I'm going to do something a little bit different. Not much. I don't really tend to vary too much unless I've tried it. But what I'm going to do is put that here, and I'm going to center that on my panel. You don't need a lot of glue, but enough so that it's going to stick. If you put too much on, it's your piece of paper, your designer paper is going to slide all over the place. Ask me how I know. Okay, don't really ask, because obviously what I'm trying to say is I've done this. Done this many times. Okay, now I've got a piece of designer paper here. This, because this is 1 1/4 inches, my designer paper is 1 inch wide. So it's 1 inch by 4 inches. I'm going to add that to the front, the first step. Oops. Let's try that again. And pay attention to the direction when you're cutting your paper. It wasn't too difficult for me, but if you are strictly directional, you really want to make sure that obviously your 2 1/4 inch panel here is going in the right direction, just like your 1 by 4 inch, and then your 3 by 4 inch piece of designer paper. Nothing worse than something going in the wrong direction. And what's even worse than that is 20 cards of the designer paper going in the wrong direction. Another thing I've done, not recently for swaps, I learned it many years ago, the hard way. Okay, so I've got that ready to go. So what I'm going to do next, it's too bad. You know what? I really like these flowers here. So what I think I'm going to do is, even though I've got flowers on this piece, I'm going to make sure that I can see most of the flowers. So I'm going to put my step more to the right. I could put it to the left if I wanted, but there's nothing there to show. So I'm going to put it all the way to the right. What I found was easiest to use was our tear and tape. You could definitely use Stampin' Seal Plus. You could use glue, but I wouldn't use glue because you kind of have to hold it in place, make sure it's not going to slide. That could get a little messy. What I found was if I do 2 pieces of tear and tape on and right next to each other, I don't know if you can see how close these are, but these are really close. And I think I've shared with you before the easiest way to remove this tear and tape top layer, the protective piece. Okay, so they're close to each other, just like that. Okay, I'll move this out of the way. And then what I want to do is use my Take Your Pick tool. I like to make sure this is stuck down really well with my bone folder so it's not going to lift up. And then what I do is use the spatula end. I'm going to stick it right in here, and it lifts right up and right away. Look at how easy that is. I'm going to do that here too. I might have to do it from the other, nope, there we go. So that's one side. Let's do it again for this. See how fast and easy that is? Celine taught me this. Definitely the easiest way to remove that tear and tape. Okay, so what I'm going to do is line this up right at the bottom edge. I'm going to hold this like this, and I'm going to go like that and fold it closed. I'll take my bone folder and make sure it's good and stuck. And ta-da, there is my thing ready to go. Now I do have to tell you it's ready to go, but I want to do some stamping yet. It almost could look like this, couldn't it? I have my sentiment already stamped. Another year flies by, happy birthday. I'll put that over here. Look at, you want to make sure that you're not going to get any adhesive in here, by the way. You can see if you put adhesive here, you're not going to be able to open the card. Not a good idea. Okay, this is my sentiment already stamped on Pear Pizzazz. I'm going to set that aside for a second. Let me get rid of my Take Your Pick tool and my bone folder because we're done with that. Now what I want to do is some stamping and coloring. I'll put this off to the side. When you are, I even cut some clouds. And the reason I cut some clouds, and I may add one here and one to there, this is part of the Give It a Whirl dies, which are staying for another year. Love that. Love these dies. I'm so excited. Only thing that makes me sad is that when I made a card, probably the first card I made with the Give It a Whirl dies, used the turtle punch and the turtle stamp set. I was able to use the shell, the half shell at the bottom for a nice sentiment, and it makes me sad that that turtle stamp set is gone. Okay, because this stamp set is photopolymer, I'm going to want to stamp it on my mat here, my Stampin' Mat. I think it's also called a Stampin' Pierce mat, but if you're going to use a piercing tool on this, make sure that you don't use the side that you usually stamp on, because you'll get divots with your stamping. Another thing I learned the hard way. I decided to use a different kite here. This one I used the squares. This one I'm going to use the flowers, and I think it'll kind of go along with the flowers here. So I hope you guys are all still with me and enjoying this. I love stamping, and the only thing better than stamping is stamping with friends, and I'm totally serious about that too. I am so much more creative when I am stamping with my friends. Like 100 times more creative. That's how much a difference it makes. I can be stamping by myself and just question myself and have no creativity, and it just takes somebody hanging out in the room with me. That's all it takes, is somebody hanging out in the room with me, and all of a sudden the ideas are flowing. Okay, I've decided I'm going to color my flowers fresh freesia, because that's what the colors are here. So let's just do a little bit of fresh freesia. I'm not going to do the centers. I think I'll do the centers, the pale papaya, because it's going to match the sky a little bit here. Actually, what am I doing? Because I was going to grab a light old olive marker, because I was thinking I was going to grab it for the leaves. Do you know that we don't have a garden green Stampin' Blend? I was able to come up with a combination. I don't believe we have Pear Pizzazz either. I could be wrong. I think we have Old Olive and Mossy Meadow. And maybe a little bit of Granny Apple Green too. But okay, let's do this. The centers. And then this is super easy. You know what? I'm not going to color it with the green right now. You know what I might do? Just to give it a little bit of bling, and maybe I will get back to coloring it later, but I'm just going to add a little bit of Wink of Stella, because a little bit of glitter and glam goes a long way. Be careful when you're doing that. You don't want to, because this is Memento, you don't want to drag it too much over those dots. They're going to smear, and you're going to end up with a gray goopy mess. Okay. And then what I want to do is take my scissors. My snips are on the other side of the room, so we're going to use my Fiskars that are right next to me, and see how easy this is to cut. And I do want to do one other thing to my card when I'm done, because I did it to this card, and I don't think you guys could even see it. You know what? Let me bring this card back into the, in case I don't have time to stamp it. This designer paper was another card I showed on my page a couple days ago. And this is from the new host packet. Isn't that so cute with the yellow, the Daffodil Delight with the kite pattern? I really like that. See what I did? I stamped a second bunch of the bows. And I'm saying this in case I don't get to it with this card, but just to give it a little bit of dimension. Isn't that so cute? Okay, now what I think I'm going to do, because I have all this open space to the left, I'm going to put my kite out that way, which means my kite strings have to go that way as well. So let's see how I'm going to do this. I guess I'm going to have to go like that. I've got my Memento here. If I was going to make one complaint about this stamp set, and seriously, it's the only one, I wish the lines weren't quite so blocky. I kind of wish they were a little bit finer. I find that it's a little bit, you know, even the font of the sentiments are a little bit too bold. See, like this, I'd love a finer line. So anyway, that's my only complaint. I think I'm going to leave that like this for now, just because it's not going to show up if I color over that anyway, I don't think. Let's try it. I think it's going to make a mess. Yeah, you can't really see it. Let's just, I guess we'll do it since I'm doing it. And then what I would do is, again, I've already stamped them on a scrap, but it's really easy. As long as you don't cut through the center, you kind of leave a little bit in the center and you've got your 2 triangles right there, and you can pop that up with some glue dots and then just kind of fold them upwards into some dimension. What I'm going to do here is add a dimensional at the bottom. Now I have to be careful because remember, there's not a lot of here that's showing. This is going to be all open. So what I probably want to do even, you know what I may do is a line of dimensionals right along the side here. And that's what the bones, this is what my team member calls them. She calls them the bones of the dimensionals. That's, oh, too much, too much. I'm gonna put that right there, just checking my placement. Always double check before you put something down. Another thing I've learned the hard way. There, isn't that so pretty? So, and then what I did was I have my little sentiment that I stamped, and these are the stitched shapes, no, stitched frames, sweetly stitched dies. I'm not sure what these are, but basically it's more squares and circles that are stitched because we had lost our Stitch So Sweetly dies. And then there's also some banners. So I'll have to double check on the name of that for you. But I think, see, I can even, I'm going to pop up the whole thing on this one. I can pop up the whole sentiment because it also goes right across the front of the card. And even though there's 2 different layers there, it's still, and ta-da. So, you know what? Do I have time? Yes. Let's do these really quickly so that I can show you what I was talking about with the kite strings here. It doesn't take a whole lot to cut out triangles and color them. Okay, so what I'm going to do is cut along here. And I'm not leaving much of a border, but I do have to make sure I leave a little bit of a center here, or it's going to, I'm not going to have anything to stick my glue dot to, and I'm going to have 2 triangles instead of 2 facing triangles, if that makes sense. Okay, let me just show you what I'm talking about. And I'll get to the rest later, but what I want to do is, especially like right here where it really doesn't show, see, you can add your kite strings and it adds a little bit of something. Oh, so cute. I'm going to do the rest since I got the time. I have people coming to stamp tonight. I've got my card class. I had to reschedule from last night. Everybody was so nice to reschedule. You guys know I work at a hospital, and you know that staffing is tight, and I mean tight, tight, tight. And I was originally overstaffed. They were overstaffed 7 to 11 last night, and I work overnights. And somehow by morning yesterday that changed, and they were asking me to come in at 7 again, which I wouldn't have liked to do, except I was supposed to be scheduled in the first place. And how can you say no to that, right? You don't want to, you know, your fellow coworkers, and you don't want to leave them stranded. And it is a busy unit. We can't really go without, I work on a bone marrow transplant unit, so we really can't go without enough staff. It's not like a grocery store, and I'm not putting down anybody in a grocery store, by the way, but I'm just saying it's not like a grocery store where if something doesn't get stocked, it can wait till the next day. My patients don't get meds. It's a problem. Okay. See how quickly those cut out? Sorry if I'm boring you with my jibber jabber, but I just want to make sure. Nothing you want to do is, you don't want to listen to me just, or watch me just cut. Okay, I'm going to just put that there instead of sticking my thing, because I really don't want my little kite wings to fly away on me. And then one more. And then this card is practically done. And this is one of the cards, like I said, that you can get for the tutorial, or if you place a, actually it's a $35 order to get the tutorial, $50 order, and you will get the card kit. Look at how cute that is. Oh, the only thing I forgot was my sky. You know what? It just doesn't fit on this one. That is such a pretty scene right there. Looks like it's flying over the lake. If I put some bold clouds in there, it's going to take away from it. So maybe we can do that on this one. Do you ever know that there's a right and a wrong side for a cloud? There really is. Isn't that crazy? I can look at a cloud and say, that cloud is flying upside down. Not really, but okay. There we go. Beautiful. So there's the cloud that I cut out with the Give It a Whirl dies. This one, like I said, it's a much prettier scene. Aren't they beautiful? So this is your faux center step card. This would be more the center. This is going to be your faux side step card, because look at that. And that's how that looks on the inside. And like I said, you've got your 3x4 inch piece of basic white cardstock, or very vanilla, some subtle neutral color. You put your sentiment on the back and you are good to go. So I am going to go back. Anyway, wanted to say good night to you guys. Have a wonderful week. I will see you next week. No idea what I'm doing. It's always a fly by the seat of my pants. But anyway, I had a great night tonight. I hope you did too. I will see you next week. And make sure you sign up for my newsletter if you want to get the recipe card for this. Talk to you later. Bye.